Welcome back to the Wizard Shop. We're going to take a look at this really sweet 2005 Mercedes E320 all the way from Missouri. Let's get started. This customer drove this car all the way from Missouri, dropped it off with a nice laundry list of things to look at. I've actually had Magic Mike go over it, and there's a few things we need to find out yet, but for the most part, we're getting a price together. Let you guys see what we found. Magic Mike? So these Mercedes, especially this year range, are kind of like your expertise area.
Yeah, well, I worked on quite a few of these back when I was still at the dealership, especially the SBC pump. At the time, they were still under that 10-year warranty, so we saw a lot of those getting replaced.
This one's no exception. It's working fine, and the count is still good. Just they want a flush on it.
Yep, and there's a special procedure for that, but we've got the tools to do it.
Sweet. So they're complaining about what? There's a valve cover leak or oil leak or something?
Yeah, one of their first complaints was that they were getting a little bit of an oil leak onto their driveway, so we found that that was the valve cover gaskets.
Okay. Another thing that they have a complaint about is they feel the engine vibration through the body of the car or when they're sitting there, and we'll take a look when we get it on the lift. And the last complaint they have is when they're running the engine, especially cold, they hear a weird sound coming from the front of the engine, something really strange. So we're going to look at those things today. You guys can join in with us and see what we find out about this car. But before we get too deep into it, let's go ahead and open the hood and take a look inside. All right, go ahead and pop the hood, Magic Mike. Why don't you go ahead and remove the air filter assembly and everything, and we'll take a look for some oil leaks. Oh, definitely, which is pretty common, these little PCV covers are leaking.
Yeah, and that was the first thing that I noticed, especially on this side, all of the oil building up, and eventually just making its way down the side of the block, down onto their body pan, and down onto the driveway.
I know from experience, I don't know if you experienced it, but it seems like these little bolts always like to break. They're like aluminum or something?
Yeah, the aluminum bolts, and most of the time we replace them. But yeah, they have a tendency to snap, especially if you over torque them.
Yeah, and then these things get brittle here.
Yeah, these rubber hoses,
yeah,
PCV on both sides, they just, over time, the rubber just gets too hard, and if you're not careful removing them, you can crack them and you'll need to replace them.
These ones still feel pretty pliable. I don't think we'll have that trouble, but many of them, even if you're gentle or try to be careful, they just split and break, and you have to buy new ones. But I can definitely see the valve covers leaking along the back side there. It's definitely going to need valve cover gaskets and also the PCV reseal, which is just, like you said, it's silicone, isn't it?
Yep, just some of that RTV silicone.
Yep, so that'll take care of that. Kind of look at the front of the engine. I don't really see anything that could be making any noises. Everything looks okay. I'll have you start it here in a minute, and I'll kind of listen.
Sounds good.
All right, go ahead and start it. All right, go ahead and turn it off. So I heard the noise when you first start up. It's like a metallic, low, dull noise, and I've heard that noise before. And I found it, Magic Mike. It is the water pump. Let's wiggle it with our hand and see what it does. I could see it physically moving while it was running. Oh yeah. So there's the weird noise that she's talking about. When she starts it up, it's like a weird, dull noise, and definitely the water pump. Okay, we got that figured out. Okay, so right now we found out the answers to two questions. It's got an oil leak. Where is it coming from? The valve covers are leaking oil, also the PCV covers, and there's the weird noise when they start it cold in the morning. It's the loudest. And we found it, we actually saw it and heard it, and then we physically verified that with our hands. The water pump is really bad. I'm surprised it's not leaking, Magic Mike.
It's impressive. Normally when they've got that much play in the shaft, they start leaking.
I've heard that noise that I just heard and you guys just heard, that doesn't have to be just a Mercedes. That can be a 71 Ford truck. I've heard that noise in all kinds of different vehicles. It's a low, like a soft knocking noise, and every time I've heard it, it's always been a water pump. So we've got those two things out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a look around the vehicle. Well, there's the infamous E-Class front end, and I actually like these. They actually have a very cool front end to them. This one's in really good shape. You do see some water spots or something from when they drove it up here. That's not faults or flaws in the paint, that's just water spots, I think. The wheels are in pretty good shape. Paint is nice and clean. I can tell this car's been taken care of. I've seen a lot of cars of this age or this era, and they're really pretty rough, but this one's not rough at all. As you can see, it's the E320. This is the era before the E350, this being an 05. Taillights look nice and clean and clear. Paint is really, really nice. Nice Michelin tires. When you see Michelin tires, you know a customer they really want their car taken care of and they want it right, not some cheap tires on it. So I don't see any issues going on with the exterior. Everything looks nice. Let's let Mrs. Wizard give you guys an interior tour.
Well, agents, here we are again in a Mercedes, and this one is not going to disappoint. You can see it does have 129,364 miles, so it does have some good miles on it, but not enough that we need to be too crazy about, oh goodness, it's going to die any second. No, it's in good shape. The dash, the vinyl up there is in really, really good condition. We've got some lovely wood trim that does wrap around, which is a very classic, iconic Mercedes kind of thing to do. Has its standard, radio system and the climate controls, which is kind of their newer, not the classic design that we are used to with Wizard's Mercedes, but this is the design and the function layout that they have for their more modern Mercedes. Again, as we pan down, we can see again lovely wood accent trims on our gear selector. As you can see, the leather in here is looking really good. Our center console, these can get abused, but they're looking good. It does have a few loose spots, but no rips, no tears, in really good shape. It does have light color carpet with no marks as well. The car is in really amazing condition. They have not only taken care of the outside, but the inside as well. As we roll up, see headliner in really amazing shape, and we do have our simple slide back roof of the shop up there. As we make one last pan, we can see we've got, of course, dual climate control, which is pretty standard for Mercedes. And as we pan over, we can also have lots of controls here on the door as well for windows and seat controls. But again, as we look back here at the steering wheel, again, really good shape. Sometimes they do get beat up because they're in the sun. We have stuff on our hands. We've been using hand sanitizer a bunch this past couple of years, and that really can eat away at our steering wheels. But this one is in really good shape, and it's actually kind of soft, so it's got a nice give to it. So this looks fabulous in here. Let's get this up in the air.
So this thing needing an SBC brake flush, like he mentioned, the SBC brakes is also a really strange brake system. I don't even think the brake pedal is really connected hydraulically to the brakes other than in like an emergency, small little master cylinder, but other than that, it's electronic, isn't it?
It's fly-by-wire.
Brake-by-wire.
Brake-by-wire.
There is an emergency system, so if that fails, you can't. It's really slow, but you can come to a stop. But other than that, it's wires. There's no real, like when you push the brake pedal, you can feel the brakes. You're not really feeling the brakes. You're just feeling, what is it, like rubber or a spring or something?
Pretty much a simulation of the tension you'd feel from brake pressure.
Yeah. So it's a really strange system. They had, like he mentioned, a lot of trouble with those where they had to replace the whole system. It was under warranty for 10 years, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yep. Well, when I pull this up here, you've probably been in enough times, and I have as well, that I can feel the vibration of the engine in the whole body. I know we've replaced probably 20, 30 sets last year of motor mounts, transmission mounts on these things.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's take a look and see what we see.
Sounds good.
I'll look over here. The brakes look good. Sway bar link looks... Uh-oh, I heard something over there.
Yeah. Sounds like I got a little bit of wheel bearing play on this side.
Oh my.
So that'll definitely make some noise going down the road.
Yeah, let me check this one over here. No, not really hardly anything, but that one's pretty loud.
Yep.
Well, that was a good catch. So that wasn't even on the list. That wasn't one of the complaints. But we're definitely going to check a car over and see what other issues there are, because you don't want to give it back to the customer and say, yeah, we did what you wanted. There you go. There's other things obviously going on with this car, so we'll definitely get that on the quote. And I don't see anything really wet under here. All the pans look dry.
Yep.
This boot looks good. We're going to be doing a transmission service on this one. They can leak from the plug that's behind that plate, but this one's nice and dry. This is a similar transmission you'd find in the Chrysler products, the Dodge Charger. A lot of vehicles Chrysler had, it's called a NAG1 transmission. That's what Chrysler called it. I'm not sure what Mercedes calls it.
722.6.
722, that's right. So let's take a look at the motor mounts while we're in this area. So I can put my finger under here and I can feel that it's completely collapsed and flat. I can also see that the oil pan is really close down here to the steering rack, so that tells me those are bad. Let's go take a look at the transmission mount. And I've mentioned to you guys in the past on these transmission mounts on Mercedes, I should not be able to put my finger in the top, but I can almost go to the other side. It's completely resting at the bottom of the mount, completely collapsed. The flex disc look fine. Everything looks good there. Why don't you check the back one back there, Magic Mike?
All right. Everything back here is nice and solid, no cracks.
Good deal. Everything's looking good there. We'll check the back wheels. I'll let you get that one.
All right.
There's brake pads are about half gone on this side, but they're still good. Sway bar link is good. This one does not have airmatic, luckily.
Yeah, steel spring suspension, still reliable.
Yeah, it's not going to go flat on you. CV boots look good. The shocks are not blown out. They're nice and dry. Everything looks pretty good. It's got fairly new Michelins. You can still see the little nipples on them. So those are still fairly new. I'll go ahead and get this thing on the ground. Right now is Mercedes week here at Omega. We actually have 3 Mercedes in the shop, and that's right down your line. I'm happy to let you just have fun at those. There is another Mercedes in here that will be a video, an E320 CDI, that Magic Mike just diagnosed some issues with it, and it's really cop job, guys. You guys are going to definitely want to watch that video. It's crazy. So we got our work cut out for us on this. We got a transmission service, we got a fuel filter, we got oil change, valve cover gaskets. The motor mounts, we kind of weren't planning for that, but that's the vibration issue, and definitely the water pump. That was kind of a surprise. Also a surprise was the wheel bearing. That wasn't even on the list.
Wasn't on the list, but hopefully by the time they get it back, they'll notice a nice quiet car.
It'll be a lot quieter, smoother. The rattling noise up front will be gone. All the services will be taken care of, and the SBC system will be serviced as well. So I'm going to get some prices together. I can tell right now it's not going to be $700 to do all this. It's probably going to be $2 or $3 grand or more.
That's the Mercedes Benz price.
It is. So I'll get the prices together. We'll call the customer, and as soon as we get the okay, I'll let you loose on it.
Perfect.
I'll let you get back to work.
Sounds good.
All right. So while we were underneath, we saw the transmission mount was collapsed, and I actually have a brand new one just sitting on the shelf here. Wanted to show you guys the difference. The one that was on the car, we were able to fully put our finger up top, and you can see here, I can't. There's equal distance top and bottom. On the mount that's currently on this car, this bar is completely collapsed all the way down. It's touching on the bottom here, which means all vibrations are transmitting straight from the bar, which is the transmission, directly to the cross member. It's also allowing a lot of play and movement, which transmits also to the body of the car. So like I just mentioned to Magic Mike, no, we're not going to fix this for $300 and a box of broken PlayStations. There's going to be thousands to fix all this stuff. And the customer, I can tell, is already going to be someone that's going to say, go ahead and do it. I want my car right, because the car is right to begin with. It's a nice car. It's very nice, and it's worthwhile to fix a nice Mercedes like this. If you're curious what kind of tools Magic Mike's going to use to work on this Mercedes, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut, and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button, because you're not going to want to miss out on the next Mercedes video that shows a really bad cop job. Thanks for watching.